Good morning, Amy. How nice to see you. How are you?
Good morning, Jackie. I'm fine. How is your new class going?
It's going well. We're actually learning all about cats.
Cats? Really? I personally like dogs. But what do cats have to do with the PIDP?
That's what I thought when I first heard it in the classroom. CAT actually stands for Classroom Assessment Technique. Choosing the right technique makes the good teacher. There are many different classroom techniques. I have to choose one and present it to my peers in class.
So what technique did you choose?
In my field of specialization, which is the area of export-related subjects, I find it very useful to be informed of my students' background knowledge and prior experience. So, I am going to be talking about the classroom assessment technique called Background Knowledge Probe.
Why did you choose this particular technique?
This special approach appears to be the ideal first step to help me determine the most effective starting point for my entire curriculum.
Could you maybe briefly describe it?
Background knowledge probes are short, simple questionnaires prepared by instructors for use at the beginning of a course.
So how would you do this in your class?
I would use the dedicated website, Socrative.com, to prepare a set of questions for students to answer anonymously.
Anonymously? Why?
I want my students to feel safe and comfortable.
Well, that's a good approach, and it makes sense.
I would then read the students' answers out loud, so they can learn from their peers' responses, and all this would of course be anonymously.
That sounds good.
I can also use this technique later as a pre- and post-assessment tool.
What is the main purpose of this CAT?
Background knowledge probes are meant to help teachers determine the most effective starting point for a given lesson and the most appropriate level at which to begin instruction.
So, are you saying, by sampling students' background knowledge before instruction on a given topic, these probes also provide feedback on the range of preparation?
Yes, of course, and it's also an icebreaker that helps establish an initial familiarity among the members of the class.
It seems to me, for students, this technique focuses on the most important material to be studied.
Yes, and it also provides both a preview of what is to come and a review of what they already know about that topic.
Are you going to prepare 2 or 3 open-ended questions?
With this technique I can do it with open-ended, a handful of short answer, or 10 to 20 multiple-choice questions that will probe a student's existing knowledge.
I would think that the questions need to be carefully phrased, since the vocabulary may be unfamiliar and you don't want the students to be intimidated.
Of course. It's important to phrase the questions so that the students feel comfortable.
What are the pros of this CAT?
This technique can provide useful information, not only about students' knowledge of the topic, but also about their communication skills.
It seems this technique provides a baseline that a teacher can use to make critical decisions before addressing actual instructional tasks.
Yes, and I can create a point of reference, also known as a hook, on which to hang new information by building on specific backgrounds that students have.
I can see that this provides a bridge between old and new knowledge. It encourages students to connect the course topic to their own past and present experiences.
Yes, and this way, they can understand, retain, and recall the information presented.
What are the disadvantages of this CAT?
If students' responses are at odds with the teacher's expectations, the feedback can sometimes be overwhelming or even demoralizing to the instructor.
I would also think that trying to respond to the questions can be difficult and frustrating experience for some students.
Yes, I have to watch out for it and make sure that the questions are not too difficult. As the teacher, I have to be careful not to form a hard-to-change first impression, which could affect my expectation of the students for the remainder of the term.
How will you provide feedback to the student in this technique?
I will use this technique during the first-time meeting with new students. I will explain to the students the purpose of this exercise, and take great pains to help them understand that any questions, written or otherwise, serve only to examine personal interests and prior knowledge in an informal manner, and without any assessment consequences.
Can you give me an example of how you would use this technique?
I always use this CAT during my first lesson, teaching the letter of credit. One of my first questions on Socrative.com for this lesson is, what is a bank loan, for example, to buy a car or a house?
I would think that a lot of adult students know the answer.
Yes, Amy, most of my students come with this knowledge. I can then connect the dots for them, between their knowledge of a bank loan and a letter of credit.
Jackie, can you use this cat for all your future lessons and learners?
No, of course not. It really depends on the lesson and learners. If I am not careful, my cat may very well turn into a dog, and that's not what I want.
That's funny, and I'm with you 100%. Thanks for the chat. See you soon.
Right you are. And goodbye for now.